Everyone, welcome. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Importance of Hakim, a divine attribute. Hakim is normally translated in English translations of the Quran as wisdom, but we will see today that it is far more than just merely wisdom. These are some of the references from where I have put together this presentation. And this is our contact. Outline of the presentation. Root of Hakim, requirements of good decision making, 5 elements of effective decision making, reality of human existence, the status of the Quran as Hakim, verses on Aziz and Hakim, verses on Alim and Hakim, miscellaneous verses, Hikmat and Hakumat, manifestation of Hakim as an attribute by us, and conclusions. Root of Hakim and Hikmat. They have the same root. And here is the root. The basic meaning is to stop and forbid someone, meaning everyone is told about that which is the ultimate defined limit. So there are certain limits defined, so everyone is told about it, that you cannot exceed those limits. This is called judgment in matters where differences arise. This is also called hukum. Hakim means the one who makes decisions, giving such decisions as stated above. Al-Hikmatu means to keep in view justice and fairness in a decision. This is why that person is called Hakim, who makes everything with correct proportion and balance, keeping all demands in view with precision and accuracy, and carries out all affairs in this manner. So there is a lot into this, that whatever we do in life, that has to be done in a precise manner and according to the value system. Ibn Faris states that Hikmatun is called Hikmat because it forbids from matters of illiteracy and ignorance. So there is an element of Alim in it. In the terminology of Iqbal, decision or power is called Hikmatun, i.e. the capability to decide and then have the authority to implement that decision. In today's language, it is known as Hakumat. Since the meaning of Hakama is to stop something at one place, and this thing as a consequence becomes strengthened as being stationary at one point. Hence the meaning of Hakama is that is made strengthened, made it such that it could not move from its place. So something which gets established at one place. The Quran is called Hakim because by defining the precise status of everything, it does not allow anyone to go beyond its limits. So when we say that it does not allow, means it is up to us. We make a decision that we don't want to go beyond that limits, because if we go beyond that limits, then the Quran tells us that you will suffer. Makes correct decisions in all matters of differences. Allah is also named Hakim because he makes the universe traverse on the precise and accurate path. He creates everything with precise scale and proportion and is in control of everything through the reign of his law. He decides in human affairs where they differ. And this is taken from Lughatul Quran. Requirements of good choices and decision making. Over here, I have taken a schematic from Google, and I thought it is quite interesting that how human beings make decisions. A decision is only as strong as the weakest link. I thought this is very important, that whatever decisions we make, we should see what is the weakest link in that. And if we start from here, it starts from useful information, then goes through sound reasoning, which is called normally brainstorming, commitment to follow through. So there has to be a determination behind it, that it has to be done. Whatever we want to take a decision. Helpful frame, clear values, and then we decide clear creative alternatives. Outer side, if we look at it, there are certain questions. What do I need to know? Am I thinking straight? Will I do it? What am I really deciding? What do I want? And what can I do? A good decision makes sense and feels right. I thought this is a very interesting statement at the bottom, because once we make decisions within the Quran, then it is not a question of feeling right. We can check it with the criteria presented by the Quran. There is another schematic, somewhat different from the first one. And over here, number 1 step is identify the problem, determine root causes, explore alternatives, select an alternative, implement the solution, and evaluate the situation. Now over here, important thing which I thought I have added here is clear aim. So identify the problem means we should have a clear aim that whatever we want to do, exactly what is our aim. And over here, these are two important steps which I thought in the light of the Quran: explore alternatives and select an alternative. So we can look at it man-made solution and also look at what the solution is presented by the Quran. And this is I've taken from Google. The second one is also taken from Google, 5 elements of effective decision-making process. The first one is problem rationalization, similar to what we have seen in the previous two schematics. Opinions versus facts. The point is for us to note is that it's not a question of opinion, though it says that you should start with an opinion, but it should be based on facts. If an opinion is not based on fact, then we will go wrong. Testing assumptions, that whatever assumptions we have made about an issue, we should test it and then either accept them or reject them. Gathering facts of what is relevant, testing opinions against reality. The second point is boundary conditions, which are the known limits and confines. At the start, we know what we have and what we don't have. So that will set the limits for us. Next is figure out what is the right thing to do. So aim has to be correct, because if the aim is not correct and what we intend to do, then we will not be able to, we'll go stray. Action, if no action, the decision will be null and void. So the decisions which we make in life, if they don't lead us to an action, then that decision is null and void. Actions have to be well structured. And finally, we need feedback, and in the light of the law of requital. Reality of human existence in 2022. Now, what I have done over here is I have drawn a schematic just to illustrate the relationship between our body and I, and how do we presently we are living in the world, and what is our situation, those of us who have come to the Quran. The first is basic living, conform to the majority. Most human beings we see around and they are conforming to the majority. And they have to conform to the majority because they do not have an alternative before them. Change to this state comes for some more rational being, those who think higher and those who are questioning the purpose of life within the man-made system. For example, a scientific mind selectively conforming to the majority also depends on the opportunities provided by man-made systems. And we see that those who get opportunities, they get better education, they become a bit more rational. But they are not very far off from the basic category. They also conform with the majority. And then the third one are those who control the state of affairs of human beings across the world. And they are the ones who possess wealth and they are powerful. They are more rational and Iblisi being, wealth and power abuse of the majority, and they are we can lump them together as pharaohs of the world, and we see them at all levels of every society, people who hold reins to power. Now, in all these states, there is no higher purpose of life. Life ends with death. Most human beings fall into these 3 categories. These are non-Quranic states. Understanding this is part of being Alim and Hakim. What I'm trying to say over here is that the world which we find around us, without the light of the Quran, we should look at it. And then in the light of the Quran, we should look at it. And the difference between the two, the solution, the understanding which Quran presents is part of becoming Hakim. So we have to go over this word and go to the other one, which is the Quranic one. And over here again, human being is the same. That is a physical being and he's got an eye. These emerge out of mankind by choice using Quranic guidance. And this is what Quran says, that you are the Jamaat-e-Mu'mineen who have emerged out of mankind to do what you are asked to do or what you wish to do in the light of the Quran. And these are the ones who have ever expanding consciousness based on the divine attributes and developing within the permanent values. So this is the focus of today's talk, is that how to become this. And this is what the attribute of Hakim demands from us. Outlining Hakim. Over here, I put down some points, understanding the rationale behind Allah's creation of the universe, creation of life, and the creation of Adam at fundamental level. So understanding human beings right at the fundamental level is important. We have to come to grips with the fact that the default collective human status with no guidance or wahi is to create chaos, problems, conflicts, wars, disunity, bloodshed. This leads to fear and huzn. The help of Wahi is required to deal with it effectively, and it is 100% possible to resolve these issues. Wahi explains this default status and leaves us in no doubt. All we need to do is to collect evidence by interacting with fellow men. Next is Allah offers his guidance through his Wahi, now called the Quran, to help mankind to extricate itself from the above default state. Since human beings possess a self, hence initially those who are desperately looking for guidance in life will come to the Quran and choose to follow it. Each one of them understands the recipe of Iman and Saleh deeds and raises the level of their eminence above others. This interchange leads to the coming together of these people of understanding. We have gone over it a number of times before as well, but just as a reminder that as we go through the Quran, Iman and Saleh deeds stands out as a recipe. That Quran puts a lot of emphasis on this simple recipe, that follow it and the things will start becoming very clear. So understanding this recipe is part of becoming Hakim. They acquire divine attributes and through the manifestations of these attributes understand the value system of the Quran and use the Quran to develop themselves to a very high level of eminence where they become fully convinced of the reality of their own existence. So becoming reality of our own existence is part of getting eminence and loftiness and the establishment of the system of deen as being within the realm of possibility. And that is how, so becoming Hakim means that we understand that what Quran is inviting to and then knowing through our Iman and Amal Saleh that what Quran is saying is within the domain of possibility. It is not otherworldly. Hakim is that attribute which brings together Alim, Aziz, Tawwab, Khabir. And there are many more aspects, but I'll confine to this for this presentation. This is where we can fully appreciate the importance of the human self, its creation, development, its role in establishing deen, its being eternal beyond physical death, and its acquiring potentials for further evolution in the hereafter. Now, a simple schematic I've drawn over here to bring these threads together. Because when I was putting this presentation together, the challenge before me was that how to put together the rational side of human being and bring it out. That Quran says that you should bring out the best out of your rational side and reasoning, and then try to understand the word and the challenges which you are facing in the light of the Quran. So becoming Hakim by using the Quran, the first is try to make sense of the world created by human beings around us, its problems, solutions, the functioning of the law of requital, understand own psyche and relate to the psyche of others at a fundamental level. Because if we do not understand the human beings around us, which includes our own self, then we cannot understand the problem. And if we don't understand the problem, we cannot find a solution for that. Look for answers to questions about the issues of human life and existence. Approach the Quran to examine its guidance incisively to find guidelines for solving man-created problems. How can it help to precisely acquire that psyche which can use its guidance as it states? Work on the recipe of Iman plus Amal Saleh. And then is understanding the Quran and its being Hakim, using its help to educate, train, acquire experience through application leading to developing a new self to become Hakim. Surah Jummah has first 4 verses. It's worth going through them and we will come to that how Hakim, one becomes Hakim. So educating and providing training and helping others to develop their self is part of this recipe. Come to grips with all the issues of human existence, that is physical plus self from birth to death and its entry into the life of the hereafter. So we have to take it holistically, life from the beginning and to the end in this world. Input from all other divine attributes plus permanent values, collective effort for deen. So this is required as part of being Hakim. Status of the Quran as being Al-Hakim. We have seen these verses in the Quran. Zalika natluhu alayka min al-ayate wa zikr al-hakim. This is what we recite to you of the signs and al-zikr al-hakim. That is, Quran calls itself as zikr al-hakim. That is from Allah as a zikr. And if we remember zikr, we went through this presentation. So zikr includes zikr of Allah as well as our own zikr. Tilka ayatul kitab al-hakim. These are the verses of the book Al-Hakim. So this is the book which makes us Hakim. And it deals with human psyche. Wal Quran al Hakim, and Wa, we know that when it comes at the beginning also means that it is presenting itself as an evidence. So Quran right from beginning to the end is Al Hakim, by the Quran which is Al Hakim. Fiha yufraqu kullu amrin hakim, in that is made distinct every amr of Hakim. So what we find is the distilled form of what we require for our guidance. And it is a treatment for cognitive dissonance. And finally, Tanzilul Kitab min Allahil Aziz al Hakim. Sending down of this Al-Kitab is from Allah with all his attributes, who is Al-Aziz and Al-Hakim. And Al-Aziz we know is related to power, and power has to be used in the light of the Quran. Application of power, Aziz and Hakim. Over here I've quoted some verses which refer to Al-Aziz and Al-Hakim, and I'll briefly explain it as well. Shahid Allahu annahu la ilaha illa huwa wal malaikatu wa ulul ilmi qaiman bil qiste la ilaha illa huwal azizul hakim. There is no ilah but he, that is the witness of Allah, his malaika, and those endued with knowledge standing firm in justice. There is no ilah but he, and he is Aziz and Hakim. Those people, we for example are aiming to follow the Quran, then we have to, once we understand these things, then we have to absolutely firmly stand firm on the values of the Quran. Inna hadha lahuwal qasasul haqqu wa ma min ilahin illa Allah wa inna Allaha lahuwal azizul hakim. This is the account in Haqq. We know Haqq. Haqq means all those actions which lead to clear evidence that the results were positive out of it. So Quran is al-Haqq. So when we follow the Quran, it will always take us to what it states is Haqq. There is no ilah except Allah, and indeed Allah is Aziz and Hakim. And over here, Aziz and Hakim will mean that this is within the reality of possibility. That is, it is within the realm of possibility, and it is well explained and we can understand it. Rusulam mubashirina wa munzirina li Allah yakuna linnasi ala Allahi hujjatun ba'da rusule wa kana Allahu azizan hakima. Messengers who gave glad tidings as well as warnings that mankind after the messengers should have no plea against Allah. So Quran has stated a number of verses where it says that people want guidance and we have provided the guidance. And if we have provided the guidance, it is our duty as human beings to follow it. First understand it and then follow it. And once we follow it, we'll get the results which the Quran very clearly states. And understanding those results and the consequences is part of becoming Hakim. Understanding Hakim is important to understand the issues of becoming Aziz in the system of Deen. We can witness abuse of powers without being Hakim in the world around us. So what we should keep it in mind that if we acquire power, but we are not Hakim, then we will do exactly what other human beings do once they acquire power, which is they abuse the power and exploit others. And there are numerous verses on that, more applications of Aziz and Hakim. I have just noted few here. Ibrahim asking for giving life from the dead, and there is an example of birds given over there. We can go through it and we are aware of it as well. Joining of hearts of Mu'mineen is part of being Aziz and Hakim. Very important. Creative process in the universe and its functioning is part of Aziz and Hakim, because Allah has created the world and He's got enough power to make sure that whatever aim and objective He had for the universe, it will be accomplished, and it is being accomplished. And even in the human world, we know that despite opposition, we are heading towards that is the system of being. Help arriving from Allah is a certainty. Quranic value for the development of the self applicable for all times. Allah's bounties of the future linked with the system of Deen. All forces in the universe belong to His being Aziz and Hakim. And all these are available to us as well. Once we come to the Quran, then we become eligible to make use of these forces. Because first we understand them and then we employ them. Infinite vastness and expanse of the knowledge of Allah, and we can benefit from that. Never to be caused by others to falter on this path. Enforcement of punishments to be executed firmly, but after hikmat. So this is important, that Quran does not put so much emphasis on punishing human beings. It's whole effort is to give them chance to reform themselves. That is why Quran has said that there is a law of respite in working under the law of requital. Allah's task carried out despite confrontation. Mutual partnership of Mu'mineen and Mu'minat and their tasks. This verse is worth looking at. Allah's promise is a reality and haqq. Being a possessor of this attribute, we need to understand all these and manifest their understanding through application. Now, application of knowledge, and this is under Alim and Hakim. Over there, we saw Aziz and Hakim and its link very briefly, and now we will see what is the link between Alim and Hakim. Qalu subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Very interesting verse right at the beginning when Adam is created and Malaika raised observation, and in reply to that, they said, Malaika said, supremacy is yours. I have translated subhanaka as supremacy. Of knowledge, we have none except what you have given us. In reality, it is you who is Al-Alim and Al-Hakim. So this is a great verse where Quran has made it very clear that Adam has been given knowledge and also has the potential to become Hakim. وَإِن يُرِيدُوا خِيَانَتَكَ فَقَدْ خَانُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ قَبْلُ فَأَمْكَنَ مِنْهُمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. But if they have treacherous designs against you, they have already been in treason against Allah. So this is pointing to the opponents or the enemies of Mu'mineen at that time and even today, that if they have those designs, since you are on the right path, you should not be scared of that or frightful of that. And so has He given power over them, and Allah is Alim and Hakim. And Quran says that if we acquire knowledge about these things, then through hikmah, through Hakim, we can understand the functioning of it. And then a lot of time fear exists because of ignorance, because of not knowing things clearly. Once we become knowledgeable, then fear disappears. Innama sadaqatu lil fuqara'i wal masakine wal amilina alayha wal mu'allafati qulubuhum wa fir riqabi wal gharimina wa fi sabilillahi wa ibn sabil. Farizatam min Allah wallahu alimun hakim. I included this verse because there are a number of items, a number of issues related to dispersal of sadaqat, and those are mentioned over here, which have a direct bearing with the system of deen, because system of deen comes to eliminate poverty and eliminate misery in the world, eliminate fear and huzn. Alms are for the poor and the needy and those employed to administer it, for those whose hearts have been reconciled, for those in bondage and in debt. See how Quran recognizes all these things, which are essentially physical as well as non-physical. And non-physical are related to our cognitive side of it. In the cause of Allah, for the wayfarer, ordained by Allah, and Allah is Alim and Hakim. So for us, it's important to understand the farizatam min Allah. So this becomes our duty. So all these issues which are noted over here, we have to understand them as part of being Alim, and then become Hakim, because why Quran is putting this responsibility on us. And we have discussed this point as previous presentations, that whatever responsibilities or duties Allah has taken on Himself, these are to be carried out by Mu'mineen. If we look at the Quran, throughout the Quran, nowhere Quran says to mushrikeen and kafirin and munafiqeen that you should be kind to each other, you should be kind to Mu'mineen. Nowhere. It is always addressing Mu'mineen to do it. That means Quran has clearly told us that they are not going to do it. And this is visible right in front of us. So we have to keep that in mind, and knowing that is part of becoming Alimun Hakim. To become an effective Hakim, becoming Alim is prerequisite here. All points to be noted. Because if we don't have any knowledge, what are we going to apply? How are we going to run the world if we don't know that how the world is run in the first place? If we don't know what are the responsibilities of Allah, then how are we going to apply them? So question of becoming Hakim does not even arise. Some more verses on Alim and Hakim. Al-Arabu ashaddu kufran wa nifaqan wa ajdaru Allah ya'lamu hududa ma anzalallahu ala rasulihi wallahu alimun hakim. Now over here, Quran has pointed to the Arabs of the desert, that are the worst in kufr and nifaq, because at that time they used to come and they say one thing and go back and do something else. And they used to even conspire and intrigue against mu'mineen. But this kind of a behavior we can see all along in our life as well. Most fitted to be in ignorance of the command which Allah has sent down to his messenger. Allah is Alim and Hakim. So we have to be aware of that. Becoming Alim and then Hakim is part of recognizing kufr and nifaq. وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ وَعَلَى آلِ يَعْقُوبَ كَمَا أَتَمَّهَا عَلَى أَبَوَيْكَ مِنْ قَبْلُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْحَاقَ Inna Rabbaka Alimun Hakim. Now, over here, I quoted this verse from Surah Yusuf. Thus will your Rabb choose you and teach you the interpretation of events and perfect his ni'mat on you and to the progeny of Yaqub, just like he has perfected it to your fathers Ibrahim and Ishaq. Your Rabb is Alim and Hakim. So what is stated over here by the Quran is that interpretation of events is part of becoming Alim and part of becoming Hakim. So that is one point. Second is that Nemat, we have gone through this aspect, Nemat and the Fadl and Rahmat all together. That whole point of the Quran is to establish Mu'mineen in the land. And for that, they have to have a desire and then follow that path which is defined by the Quran by coming together. وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا وَقَالَا يَا أَبَتِ هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلُ قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِنَ الْبَدْوِ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَنْ نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَاتِي Inna Rabbi Latifun Lima Yasha'u Innahu Huwal Alimul Hakim. This verse is again from Surah Yusuf, when Hazrat Yusuf got established in the land and he got his parents in Egypt. Whole issue of enmity between him and his brothers disappeared. And over here, Quran has summed it up. And he raised his parents high on the stage and they bowed down before him. He said, "Oh, my father, this is the fulfillment of my dream from the past." So which is referred here in 12:6. Allah has made it become haq. He was indeed good to me when he took me out of the prison and brought you out of the desert after Shaitan had sown enmity between me and my brothers. Now this is very interesting over here, that despite that his brothers showed extreme enmity towards him, he over here relates it to Shaitan, because now he is in a position of power. He has become Aziz and he's become Hakim. And that point we have to keep it in mind, because that is where the tolerance lies in, that we have to give time to others, that if they have made certain mistakes under ignorance when they were not guided, then we have to give them respite as well. Verily, my Rabb understands best the finest details of all that he plans to do. Verily, he is Alim and Hakim. So there's a lot into these three verses, and of course other verses as well, where we have to go into the finer details of it, that how the system of Deen then operates in practical sense. Listing some more examples of Alim and Hakim. Allowing dissolution of oaths. This is interesting, that where people make wrong oaths, then there is a way to get out of it. Understanding events and the human psyche behind it. Making signs clear by Allah is also part of being Alim and Hakim. Strengthening of human psyche through Iman and by coming together. Interpretation of the outcome of events. Reference here to Hazrat Lut in the light of Wahi. Understanding the psyche of non-Quranic people and its effects and their consequences is part of this acquisition of knowledge. This is not in any derogatory sense. People will accept Quranic guidance and they will change. People will not accept Quranic guidance and they will not change. So it is the responsibility of those who come to the Quran to understand this whole phenomena in the true perspective, not in a roundabout way. It has to be very precise. We have to understand these things completely so that we don't make mistakes. Superstition, false beliefs, non-productive practices, and rituals, the psyche behind it. Detailed knowledge of the human psyche, own based on Iman and those who oppose it. Because once we accept Iman and come to Iman of the Quran and then do Saleh deeds, we acquire a new psyche. And once we have acquired that psyche, then that psyche makes it very clear to us that we should not have any benefit of doubt given to those who do not have Iman. So this is important part of being Alim and Hakim. Important for the conduct of affairs, Mu'mineen relate to Allah all the time. Values and instructions in relation to married women, seeking women for marriage, paying of their dower, issues of human psyche with respect to sex. Very important verse. We have gone through it before as well. Nothing cancelled in the wahi of Allah. Whole Quran is complete. There is nothing cancelled in the Quran. Following the wahi of Allah leads to success. Figuring out precision and accuracy is important. So we have gone through it before as well. An interesting quote, this is on delayed gratification, and I've taken it from the book Atomic Habits. It's quite interesting. At some point, success in nearly every field requires you to ignore an immediate reward in favor of a delayed reward. So delayed gratification is counted as a sign of success even in the man-made world. Here is the problem. Most people know that delaying gratification is the wise approach. They want benefits of good habits to be healthy, productive, at peace. But these outcomes are seldom top of mind at the decisive moment. Thankfully, it's possible to train yourself to delay gratification. So what it discusses is that most people want to go for immediate benefits, and they ignore the long-term benefits of following a certain habit. And as a result, of course, they suffer. In a perfect world, the reward for a good habit is the habit itself. This, I thought, is very nicely summed up. In a perfect world, the reward for a good habit is the habit itself. In the real world, good habits tend to feel worthwhile only after they have provided you with something. So people always look at the tangible side of it. If a good habit is not bringing them any benefit, they tend to ignore it. Early on, it's all sacrifice. So initially, we have to sacrifice a lot. If I want to have a good health, I'll have to do exercise and have a better diet. You have gone to the gym a few times, but you are not stronger or fitter or faster, at least not in noticeable sense. It's only months later, once you have shed a few pounds or your arms gain some definition, that it becomes easier to exercise for its own sake. So what the book is saying is that even to live this life, of course, hereafter is not discussed in that book. If we want to successfully live this life, then delayed gratification is a value worth looking at. Hakim and Alim. Now, this is something interesting I came across, was that previous verses we have looked at it, that Alim comes first and then Hakim. There are verses in the Quran where Hakim comes first and then Alim, and I would like to share it with you. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا أَتَيْنَهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَّن نَّشَاءُ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. That was the reasoning about us which we gave to Ibrahim against his people. We raise whom we will, degree after degree, for your Rabb is Hakim and Alim. So over here, what is interesting is that there is certain statement made which Hazrat Ibrahim used and challenged his people. And those were the facts about Allah himself. And those fall under Hakim. And then to get that knowledge about those facts is important. And then we combine these together and then become Hakim. So over here, Inna Rabbaka Hakimun is related to Allah. And then Alim is related to what is being described over there. Then combining these two with, of course, Rabb, we have to acquire knowledge and become Hakim. So that is the way I look at it. Wa inna rabbaka huwa yashuruhum innahu hakimun alim. Again, Hakim comes first and Alim. And Quran says, assuredly it is your Rabb who will gather them together. So over here, the facts are being stated from Allah's side, but we don't know. We have to figure it out, that possibility of our coming together under the law of requital in this life as well as in the hereafter is a possibility. So we have to figure it out. That is part of becoming Hakim. Verily, he is Hakim and Alim. And once we have acquired that knowledge, then Hakim and Alim combined together makes us Alim and Hakim. Wa innaka la tulakkal Qur'ana min ladun Hakimin Alim. As to you, the Quran is bestowed upon you from the presence of Hakim and Alim. So over here, whole Quran becomes Hakim as well as part of becoming Alim. And then, as I said earlier, we have to then become Hakim and Alim or whichever way we can look at it. Because as a sum total, then we understand the Quran and then apply it. وَهُوَ الَّذِي فِي السَّمَاءِ إِلَٰهٌ وَفِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَٰهٌ وَهُوَ الْحَكِيمُ الْعَلِيمُ. I think this verse sums it up extremely well, because Allama Pervez has given a lot of explanation of this verse. He more or less devoted a part of his dars on it, where we tend to forget that what we see in the human world, we think that this human world is run by human beings, but it is not. Behind that, even if human beings are following the wrong path, the results are according to what Allah has noted down in the Quran. So Quran essentially gives us the consequences of both paths and says that the moment you do deeds, whatever wrong you do, it is going to produce its consequences. Since the consequences are going to be according to the law of requital, so don't get away with this idea that somehow Allah has handed over everything to human beings. He has not. And understanding this is part of this Hakim and Alim. It is He who is Allah in heaven and Allah on earth, and He is Hakim and Alim. So this point is very reassuring, understanding this point and then keeping it in mind, and this is part of us becoming Alim and Hakim. Hakim plus Alim means we need to understand this combination first, and then it becomes knowledge, and then we apply this knowledge by becoming Hakim. There are two more verses on Tawwab and Hakim and Aliyun Hakim. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ حَكِيمٌ. This is a verse from Surah Nur. And if we look at it, the verses before that are about certain related to some punishment and also about certain investigations on the part of Mu'mineen. There are directions given that how do you like rumors and false accusation and those kind of things. If it were not for Allah's fadl and rahmat on you, and that Allah is Tawwab and Hakim, you would be ruined indeed. Allowance for tawbah and punishment needs a reflection. So under the system of deen, we have to all the time keep it in mind that is there a possibility of reformation? Is there a possibility of the persons who have committed crime to go back, repent, and mend their ways? Because none of us is going to come back to this life. So taking away life or taking away the freedom of someone should be under very extreme circumstances. What we need to do is that to look at this Tawwabun side and then apply it in the light of the Quran. And over here again, Fadlullahi alaykum wa rahmatuhu, both Fadl and Rahmat have appeared. So we have to look at these attributes very closely and carefully. وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَنْ يُكَلِّمَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا وَحْيًا أَوْ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ أَوْ يُرْسِلَ رَسُولًا فَيُوحِيَ بِإِذْنِهِ مَا يَشَاءُ إِنَّهُ عَلِيٌّ حَكِيمٌ. It is not fitting for a man that Allah should speak to him except by wahi or from behind a veil or by sending of a messenger to reveal. With Allah's permission, what Allah wills, for He is most high and Hakim. So over here, Quran is referring to the process of sending wahi, but in our case now we have got complete Quran. And since we have got the Quran, so innahu aliyun hakim, so we should keep it in mind that this has come from someone who's got all the knowledge of his creation. In the case of administering a punishment under the system of deen, allowance for repentance should be taken into account all the time, to be covered as a separate topic. And second is the status of wahi is defined in the next verse for us, part of developing understanding of being Hakim. So this is part of our it should become part of our consciousness that the Quran and the way wahi was sent in the light of this verse. Hakim and Khabir. Some verses also have this pattern. Wahuwal kahiru fawqa ibadihi wahuwal hakimul khabir. It's interesting. First Hakim has appeared, and then Khabir means knowing something and becoming aware of it. He is kahir on his servants, and he is Hakim and Khabir. So first is one attribute of Allah, and then it says that He is the one who is seeing everything. So this should provide us assurance. And of course, this requires further looking into it, that in one context, this verse has appeared. I've not given it any further thought. وَهُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ وَيَوْمَ يَقُولُ كُنْ فَيَكُونُ قَوْلُهُ الْحَقُّ وَلَهُ الْمُلْكُ يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ عَالِمُ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ وَهُوَ الْحَكِيمُ الْخَبِيرُ. Interesting verse in relation to the creation of the universe and the way Allah's Amr functions. It is He who created the heavens and the earth as Haq. The day He says, be, behold, it is. His word is Al-Haq. He will be the dominion the day the trumpet will be blown. He knows the unseen as well as that which is manifest, for He is Hakim and Khabir. Next one is Kitabun Uhkimat Ayatuhu Summa Fussilat Min Ladun Hakiman Khabir. Quran says a book with verses basic or fundamental have been given to us, further explained in detail from the one who is Hakim and Khabir. Of course, He is fully aware of what is going on, and if we have to become Hakim, we have to be fully aware of what is going on around us. And this is important, particularly at the initial stages when the deen has to still to evolve or emerge. We have to be extremely aware of those who wish to take on these responsibilities, that becoming Khabir is part of becoming Hakim. Alhamdulillah illazi lahu ma fis samawati ma fil ardi wa lahul hamdu fil akhirati wa huwal hakimul khabir. Hamd be to Allah, to whom belong all things in the heavens and on earth. To Him hamd in the hereafter. He is Hakim and Khabir. Hamd, as we know, means that whatever Allah has created, by looking at that creation and acquiring this information of Alim and Aziz and Hakim and Khabir and all those His attributes, we come to appreciate the purpose of the universe and our creation as Al-Haq. And once we appreciate, then we are automatically have appreciation of Allah as Rabbul Alameen. So that is the point which Quran is making. There is a lot more to it, but we will not go into those details at this stage. Now, over here, what I've done is I've taken this from Tabweebul Quran, Hikmat explained, because Hikmat and Hakim both have same root. One thing is called law, and the other thing is its purpose and need, its goal, its reason, i.e. why such a law has been formulated. So if a law is formulated, even in the human world, its reason, the rationale behind it should be explained, because human beings want to know the reasons for everything in their life. When some dictator implements a law, then he does not state its hikmat. He does not feel a need for this. His word is law, and to obey it willingly or unwillingly is the duty of all. But when a just ruler implements a law, he ensures its aim and need precisely, so that people understand that it is made and implemented for their benefit, so that in this way the motive to obey emerges from the depth of their hearts. And Quran does it. And wherever we think it is not there, it is our duty to figure it out by cross-referencing through the Quran. And this is exactly what Allama Pervez has done in his books. Allah is not a dictator, He is Hakim. Hence, He bestowed with the book code of laws. Then together with this, He also explained the hikmat of these laws. Both these are sent down by Allah and are preserved in the Quran. The aim of this is that when we obey these laws, then we also keep checking whether through this the objective is being achieved or not, which is its purpose. If this is occurring, then action is being taken correctly on these laws. If this is not taking place, then there is error being made somewhere. This needs to be corrected. So if we do not understand the laws of the Quran, then we have to make an effort to find out what exactly is the hikmat or the reason behind it, the rationale behind it. Because we have a rational mind, human beings have a rational mind. And when we use that part of our rational side of our brain or mind, then we need to be convinced about it. From the viewpoint of need and purpose, the meaning of hikmat is also evidence and reasoning. The Quran wishes that whatever task we do, it should be based on intellect and reasoning through careful reflection. This potential of wisdom and consciousness is also called hikmat. This potential is within each human being. This is why man is called a rational animal. Reasoning is the special trait of being human, and this potential is acquired through maturity of knowledge and reasoning. Further, when some ideology is acted upon, then there is the need for balanced planning so that it can bear results. This is called hikmat. The meaning of hikmat is also the potency of making decisions, especially bearing in mind justice and fairness. For this, at places, the word hukman has also appeared. This potential is available to both Nabi and non-Nabi. For Nabi only, that is hikmat which is sent down from Allah. Other than this, in the potency of hikmat or hukam, all human beings are included. So what comes to Nabi is wahi, that is in the Quran. And that is only exclusive to Nabi, but then once it is in the human domain, then all of us can benefit from it. The root of hukumat, which is the government, and hikmat being common means this, that hukumat should be based on reason. Its foundation should not be based on dishonesty and deceit. Only that hukumat can be based on hikmat, which is shaped in accordance with the divine values. If this is not the case, then it is malukiyat, which is dictatorship. And all man-made systems have an element of malukiyat in that, which is based on coercion and dictatorship. And we can see there is a lot of laws are passed where people are forced to do it, whether they like it or don't like it. From this aspect, Allah of the Quran is possessor of hikmat and hukumat, i.e. whose hukumat is based on hikmat and not on treachery. And over here I have quoted a verse, Zalika mimma awha ilayka rabbuka minal hikmate. Wala taj'al ma'allahi ilahan akhra fatulka fi jahannama maluman madhura. These are the precepts of hikmat which your Rabb has revealed to you. So these are sent as wahi towards you, that is hikmat. Take not with Allah another ilah, that is if you mix it up with others, that is man-made laws or your own desires, lest you should land in Jahannam condemned, and we can see that Jahannam all around us. Hukumat and hikmat, these are explained. This is the third part. There are two parts of government, which is hukumat. One is lawmaking and which is called legislating in modern terminology, and the other, the implementation of laws, which is called executive. According to the Quran, right at the outset and fundamentally, no human being has the right of legislation of laws. This right only belongs to Allah. He has given these laws in the form of commands and principles in the Quran. Neither any change or addition, deletion can occur in these commands. Because if we do addition and deletion, as the word of religion does, is that so-and-so verses are cancelled and these are the additions, then what happens is we turn our word into hell. Nor can there be any change and alteration in these principles. Because if the values and principles change in our life, then that becomes injustice. That government which will be established in the name of Allah, which will be called the Islamic government, in connection with the lawmaking, it will only have this much authority that in the light of these principles, according to the demands of its times, it will work out the finer details. So the values will remain the same. Those will define the boundary conditions, and then we have to work it out within them through mutual consultation. These details or sub-clauses will change and alter with the requirements of the time, but the principles of the Quran will always remain immutable. So understanding this and developing a conviction is part of becoming Hakim. The fundamental duty of the Islamic government is to implement the commands and laws of the Quran. This is called Deen. Hence, for the establishment of Deen, the need for an independent country is absolute. If there is not independent country of its own, then where will these laws be established? Manifestation of the attribute of Hakim. Now, how do we manifest these attributes of Hakim? Having learned it, having convinced ourselves, and I put down some thoughts over here. We can always add more to it, and it will be great if all of us can think through it and add more. Together with other divine attributes, we need to achieve understanding of applying the knowledge we have gained about the real world and the word of Deen, which is yet to appear before us. Every event in our life and around us has a cause or an effect behind it, and we need to examine this. As we have seen, this attribute appears together with other attributes, and we need to understand the application of these other attributes which have appeared with it. So it is important that as we read through the Quran and wherever we are reading it, that we look at it analytically and see what exactly Quran is trying to draw our attention to. Thinking through any issue of life is part of its manifestation. All laws and their implications for mankind to be evaluated. Developing the habit of not reaching a quick conclusion or opinion on any matter of life. Giving respite to any thought and action is part of the law of requital and its functioning. So part of becoming Hakim is also never jump to conclusions quickly. Even if we see the facts are okay, we should give some time and respite to ourselves and to others. Since Allah has provided respite to human actions in life, hence we need to practice this as well and continuously remind ourselves to not be impulsive and reactive. So all the time we should remind ourselves, I'm not going to be impulsive, I'm not going to be reactive. No knee-jerk reaction. Think through the problem and then come to the conclusion after all relevant facts are available. Educating children in this respect by asking them to reflect on their interaction with friends, relations, and to analyze the daily news. Children will work better if we explain to them why they are being asked to do certain things. And that is important because at a very early age, their rational side and reasoning side needs to be developed. And we should never be scared of not giving them all the details which are required to convince them, because then they will do things much better than if they are just told, do it, and without explaining the rationality behind it. Questioning the norms, cultures, traditions, and rituals of society, the country, and the world is part of becoming Hakim. Becoming Hakim is far higher than just being rational in the world. We have seen it that Quranic Hakim is not the same Hakim, inverted commas, as that of the man-made world. We get access to the reality of life based on our Iman. Every thought, decision, and act is in relation to the existence of the hereafter and its impact on our self's development. Next point is viewing other human beings possessing a self and treating them with this context in mind is part of manifesting this attribute. Actions need to be looked at by taking into account the emotive, rational, and Quranic states of understanding. So part of becoming Hakim is also to check back. For example, if we tell someone or tell children to do something, we should check back and ask them if they have understood the issue or not. Because a lot of time there is a gap between what we tell others and what they understand. And if we don't want to be surprised by some mishap later on, it is better to check back. If you remember in decision making, we said feedback. Allah wishes us to know the significance of our creation in the light of the Quran, emphasizes reasoning and deep reflection repeatedly. This is a higher level of rational thinking in order to make optimum decisions in the world so that fear and huzn disappear and human beings can acquire that eminence for which they have been created and which they can achieve as a right and which no one can take away from them for eternity. To be Hakim is to recognize all this and then work for it. And to conclude, the universe and the earth has been created with a view to providing a place of abode for a rational being called man. Individually, man has been provided with a physical existence for a finite time as per law on this earth, but long enough to question his existence, its purpose, and if he desires, he can seek guidance from Allah. Next is by virtue of possessing a self, which is linked to his physical body. So our self is very intricately linked to our physical body, which can make choices in his life. He is provided with emotions, desires, intellect, and also memory. And he's able to figure out the functioning of the law of requital. Thus, he becomes responsible for his own actions. This thing takes time because a lot of human beings are born religious environment where law of requital never crosses their mind. So this needs a lot of education and a lot of persistence on our part once we are briefing those people who are still in the domain of religion. If he opts to live life without taking into account the life of the hereafter, then he does not need the external guidance of Wahi, the Quran. And for this life, he depends on his rational and motive side. This cannot give him that self which can develop further in the life of the hereafter. So we should keep it in mind that Quranic Hakim is not the same wise man who is operating outside the light of the Wahi. So there is a clear distinction between the two. Hakim of the Quran is a far, far higher level of consciousness and where we see both sides of the word as I explained in that schematic. If man desires strongly to be part of the creative process of Allah as laid down in the Quran, then he needs to understand all aspects of its working, and becoming Hakim is part of this character of his, which helps to understand the non-Quranic and Quranic aspects of human existence. The attribute of Hakim plus other attributes reveals all rational aspects of human existence in totality, so that the human self achieves full conviction about Sirat-e-Mustaqim and the self develops to a very high level where it becomes eligible for the help of Allah together with other similar selves. So once we have become Hakim, and as we are treading on this path, we realize that what kind of thinking we have acquired. This thinking is of far higher value than the thinking we had without the Quran. So we should be able to differentiate between the two and pass on that understanding to others and tell them that there is far more to life than merely just living a life without the light of the Quran. And with that, I come to the end of this presentation. Thanks for your time to share this presentation.